Good morning, cutie pies. Today we're going to be putting together a kegerator. It's the Komos V2. It uses intertap faucets and duo-type fittings, and it can be kind of a pain in the ass to put together. So today we're going to show you how it's done. Okay, so this is what it looks like out of the box, and it actually comes standardized as a base with several different options for tower kits. Today we're gonna be doing the 2-tap tower kit because that's probably the most common one that I see done. So just a small tower that's gonna go in here. In the tower kit, you have your faucet and shank assembly, as well as some of the duo-type fittings, but almost everything else is actually gonna come in the kegerator itself. All right, so this is everything that it comes with on the inside, and some of this you don't actually need. For example, it comes with a little rack, which the only reason you would need that is if you were able to somehow use squatty kegs that can fit part of this and put something below it. But for the most part, most people don't need this. This is actually part of the fan tower kit, so this will help you blow cold air up your tower and make sure that everything stays cold in line. This piece is actually pretty simple. It's just a little railing that goes around the backside of the kegerator and makes it look nice. Functionally speaking, it doesn't really do a whole lot. So all this needs is to be set into these holes right here. And just like that, that one's out of the way. All right, so in here you've got your regulator, which we'll talk about down the road. And you've got your casters, which I actually don't usually assemble because loading this up in the back of a truck makes it roll around a lot if it's on casters, and so I just leave these for people to assemble at home. But they're pretty easy. Just unscrew the screws that are already set in on the bottom and attach these. And this guy is actually a holder for your CO2 tank if you want to throw it on the backside. Half the people that get these kegerators don't use this at all just because they want their kegerator kind of close to the wall behind them, and so having that extra space with a CO2 tank on the backside doesn't make a lot of sense. Most people just put their CO2 tank either on the outside of the fridge and run the lines around, or they'll just put it inside the fridge if there's extra room. So that's everything this comes with. Let's start by opening up the draft tower kit and showing you how that all gets assembled. All right, first step to this, super important. When you pull the draft tower out of its box, take this black thing, put it off to the side, take this little aesthetic beauty ring looking thing, put the washer where the tower goes. So you just line up where those holes are. Take the beauty ring and put it over the tower. Way too many times has myself or Logan or Tim installed the shanks and faucets and forgot about that until we realize that it's time to put this whole thing on, and then we go, well, shit, now we gotta take the whole thing apart again. So that plus these lines right here is what comes with the tower kit. We'll worry about the gas side later. We're just looking for the liquid side lines right now. So you get both gas and liquid side on there. And if you couldn't tell by there being, one gas and 2 liquid things for the 2 different lines, you can look, the 4 mil interior diameter is going to be the liquids, and the 5 mil interior diameter is going to be the gas. All right, so now that we have everything out, this is everything that comes in the liquid side of the draft kit. Your liquid lines, your shanks, your faucets, some duo-type fittings, and the tower itself. Now you get to play the painful game of getting this all together and assembled in line. The first thing that I like to do is actually pop my liquid line on my duo-type fitting. So there's a small side and a big side to the duo-type fitting. Your line goes into the big side, and just pop it in until you hear a little click thing, or until you can't pop it in anymore. Then it's good to go. Step 2 is we're gonna take this and we're gonna thread it up this faucet all the way out the top, at which point we're gonna take the washers on the back side of that, make sure that they're in the same order and orientation, and we're just gonna throw them over there like that. We're gonna duck this down to help it find its little hole, and we're gonna stick the barbed side of the shank into that duo-type fitting, just like this, just like that. Should hear a little click there too. That's as far as it can go. Then from there, you just kind of shimmy that guy backwards, get the curved edge flush with the curved edges of the tower, then you thread that guy back in. All right, on these hand tie, it's actually usually good, but these kits also come with a little a multi-tool that comes in the bag with a lot of the gas assembly stuff. So you can use this end of the multi-tool to tighten that down. And you got your barb facing a little bit towards the outside there, and that's gonna give you room to put the other one in. All right, so after you've got your first shank in, just lather, rinse, and repeat on the other one, and then we'll show you how to thread this whole thing into the top of the kegerator. Now we've basically defeated the 8th boss of Super Mario Smash Brothers world, and so we're going to go ahead and put the cap on top of this guy. There's no more things that we need to do inside here, so that's all good to go. You can see we have our tube coming down here, so we're gonna take this end and just thread it into this hole. Boom, holes are lined up. Now we're just gonna take these screws, make sure that the holes are lined up both with the gasket and the tower to the holes down there. And just one at a time, start sinking this guy in. Now, I know we kind of cut a lot of that screwing the tower in out of the video and or hyperlapsed it and made it really, really fast, but if you want to watch a full-length video of me just screwing in all 4 of those screws that took about 10 minutes to do, stay tuned to the end of the video. Now we're gonna put these faucets on. The rear seat of this faucet is universal, so any other faucet that you'd want to adapt to this, you totally can. But these kegerators come with intertap faucets, which are a nice, inexpensive forward sealing faucets, and they're all stainless, which I think is really important. Having a stainless faucet is going to make it easy to clean these consistently and have them not build up gunk, not corrode quite as easily. And being forward sealing means that when beer gets here, it can only dry up to here and it can't dry back where the lever is and make that lever stick. It's just a reverse thread from the tower. So as I'm threading from the back side, it's a right to me, but if you're on the front of the faucet, it's gonna look like you're threading it left. Just for aesthetics. Little faucet knob, and you can put whatever faucet on these. With the Nuka taps, which we just did a review on a couple days ago, they actually made these faucets lean just slightly back. That way, in case you have a big heavy faucet leaning on these, it won't pop forward. Also, there's springs you can add to the back of this that'll make it so these are self-closing too, so they pop back every single time. So those are good options if you end up with a big heavy tap handle. A little drip tray, that actually just goes around the faucet up here. So I guess that's the last thing that we put up top there. So now that we've talked about where the beer actually comes out of, let's talk about the business end of what actually makes the beer come out of the kegs. There's 2 different styles of couplers that you're gonna be working with, and one is your classic commercial style coupler. In America, these are commonly going to be D-system, but there are other styles of couplers for different regions. But all in all, they generally have this hex nut piece right here and right here for the liquid and gas respectively. The liquid side is going to be the side that we're hooking up to the beer lines that we just dropped down. If you are serving off of a homebrew keg, you'll probably see something like that. That's going to be the black liquid disconnect for a ball lock keg. And either way, if you are going with a ball lock or a commercial style coupler, there are 2 different ways that you can actually hook it up to the end of that line down there. The first and probably the easiest is to hook up another Duo-Tight fitting to the respective coupler. So we've got a Duo-Tight to hex nut fitting that can thread right on top of here. And just like when we were plugging in the shanks up top, the end of the liquid side tubing can fit right into there. So then you have one hookup all ready to go. Same thing with the ball lock disconnect. There's a ball lock threaded piece, 1/4" FFL that can thread onto that disconnect. And just the same way, that end will plug into the liquid side here. The other way, and the more painful way, but probably the way that I see a lot more people doing it, is to use a barb. Barb's gonna come 1/4" or 3/16". Most of mine are 1/4". With the homebrew style kegs, they'll pretty much always be 1/4". And the reason that's rough is because 1/4" is a lot bigger than that 4mm interior diameter. So the best way to get that on there would be you go ahead and put a clamp over there, and then you're gonna have to heat this up. We actually have a heat gun that we use, but you can use like a hair dryer. That actually I find works really well. Some people will put it into hot water. The reason that that's tougher for me is because then it gets really slippery, so it's hard to squeeze that over. But a hair dryer works really fine, and then you can just pop that over there. With a commercial style coupler like this, same kind of thing. You've got a hex nut washer, and 1/4" barb. I actually do have these barbs in 3/16 too, so you could go with a smaller barb to make your life a lot easier. Same kind of thing, get the clamp on there, and then heat that up with a hair dryer or a heat gun, and pry that line over the liquid side. So that takes care of pretty much everything on the liquid side of how to set up this kegerator. Now let's go through the gas side and what all that's gonna take. So one more quick thing on the liquid side before we hook up the gas. This tube is actually designed to help airflow, cold airflow, up through the draft tower. So once you hook that up to that opening on the fan, the tube can just roll up there. You can see it just pops right up into the top of the tower. And now you've got cold air blowing almost all the way up there. You only have one tube for the gas side, which is why I'm going to work backwards from where I think my kegs are going to be relative to the kegerator. So we have a splitter that's gonna split your one gas line into two, one for each keg, for each tap. And so you can look, the splitter is gonna be somewhere near the back of the kegerator right there. And no matter where your keg is, you're probably not gonna need more than 2.5 feet is what I'm gonna call that, to go pretty much anywhere in the keg. So I'm gonna take a snip right there, and I'm gonna double that because I need it to be able to go to either side. One of them I'm just gonna make slightly longer because of where I'm gonna put my splitter. Shove those into each two sides of this T. And that should be enough line to orient pretty much anywhere in the keg. The other side goes into the front of the T, obviously. And if you take a look at the back of the kegerator, you can see there's actually 2 exit ports for where that can come out. All right, so now that we got that gas line going through the back of the kegerator, the last and final step to get this whole thing buttoned up and assembled is going to be attaching it to our regulator and then attaching our regulator to our CO2 tank. That step is pretty easy, especially considering they give us another Duo-Tight fitting to go onto the regulator. So you can see the regulator comes with a 1/4-inch barb on there. We're just gonna take that off. That's a freebie. Although you could use that the same way that you would use the liquid sides that I was showing you earlier and just heat gun it and then clamp it onto this. But I like these Duo-Tight fittings. I think they work pretty well. So we're gonna thread that on. Hand tight, we don't want to over turn it, we don't want to really cross thread it. And then this is actually the control mechanism for the regulator. Make sure that you don't over tighten that because you don't want it to, when you hook up your CO2 tank, be set too high. When you set your whole kegerator up, by the way, you want that regulator to kind of equalize at 12 PSI. 10 to 12 is kind of that nice range where a lot of beers will pour well, and you don't really risk over carbonating. But yeah, all we have to do is shove that line into our Duo-Tight fitting on the regulator and then attach the regulator to the CO2 tank. All right, now that the gas is hooked up to the inside of the kegerator from the regulator, the last thing is just attaching a couplers on the gas side. And again, there's 2 different ways to do that. You can get a barb that fits that gas side on the regulator, heat gun it and clamp it on. But I'm gonna do just the Duo-Tight fitting because it's a super easy way to put this all together. So with your standard commercial coupler, we're gonna unscrew that, take this lunky barb off, make sure that you keep that check valve intact in there. That's how liquid can't get up and out of your coupler. We're just gonna attach that Duo-Tight fitting, and that's where our gas is gonna go in there. Again, just hand tight, same thing on the top. And then for the gas side, for a ball lock, all we're gonna do is take that same Duo-Tight fitting, or barb if you're really into heating things up with a heat gun and forcing them over barbs. And same kind of thing off of our gas line down here. We're just going to attach those. I'm not gonna fully attach them, but just show you where those go in. And for the commercial side, it looks the exact same. You're just shoving that right in there. Boom. So that's what it looks like. And that is everything that it takes to set up the Komos V2 kegerator. Hopefully you gained some information out of this. If you've got any further questions, I know I didn't fully assemble everything because I still gotta have this showroom ready. But feel free to comment below or shout us out on Facebook. Give us a message on Facebook if you got any questions. If you want to see more product reviews, if you're interested in draft stuff or draft builds, we've done a lot of draft builds previously on the channel. It's something we might get back into because a lot of people like kegerators and serving beer off kegerators. But like, subscribe, comment, tell Logan he's a G. No, what's a worse letter than G? He's like a Y. And we'll see you next time.